Just on the banks of this inner city stream, I found this really curious circular brick building with this magnificent roof. No idea what the building was used for, but I've got a good idea that it's going to make a great subject for a picture. Now, I started off standing right in front of the building and it all looked a little bit flat. So what I've done now is to take a step back underneath the cover of this tree where I've got these wonderful green leaves, and that's providing a bit of foreground and background. The building being the background, these leaves providing a bit of foreground interest. Now, the other thing is that the perceived wisdom is do not shoot into the sun, but great things happen when you break the rules, and that's what I'm going to experiment with right now. I'm stood inside the tree cover here, and we've got these green leaves that look a bit dull from the outside, but actually when you're from the inside poking out and looking at this wonderful round building, as you move around, lots of interesting things start to happen. So the sun is shining directly into my camera lens. I'm getting some interesting solar flares. This is the light from the sun hitting the elements, bits of glass, if you like, on the lens and just bouncing around and creating these weird and wonderful shapes. But what really excites me is when I start to include these green leaves above my head into the shot. It's a little bit of experimentation here and just seeing what looks good. And what looks good for me is the sunlight peeking through the leaves, kind of like almost shining through this green filter. And I'm able then to see the green moss and lichen on the bottom of the bricks of this round hut. And they kind of complement each other, the green at the top and the green at the bottom. But again, just moving around, getting a good bit of solar there, good bit of sunlight in the lens. And just on the bottom corner, getting a bit of a kind of a refraction of it, a reflection, if you like. Now, I'm just experimenting with the framing a little bit there, still staying at the same distance here. And again, just using those leaves in front as a bit of a foil to the sun to just create a little bit of a different hue. And look how the leaves in the front there are almost like they're lit up. They're almost this luminous green because of the sunlight shining on them. Considering at this time of year, there's not an awful lot of greenery around. This shot's feeling very pleasing for me at the moment. This circular building in this shot doesn't really have any foreground or background. It's just the building plonked in the middle of the frame, and it doesn't kind of work for me. There's a bit of green foliage, but it's more of a distraction than complementing the building. And also framing wise, I didn't spot those bins in the background, which certainly don't want to be in there. So yeah, all right first stab, I suppose, but not one I'll be looking to keep. In this frame, I attempted to move the building to the left-hand side on that vertical third line, and while compositionally it sort of works, the exposure is not a success. The camera has clearly identified the sun shining right into the lens and has adjusted everything so that it all feels really rather muddy, almost silhouetted rather, and I'm not getting really any of the green, any detail in the building at all. So again, this is probably not my finest moment. This frame gives me an element that I really hoped to capture, and that is with the green leaves. They look as though they themselves are light sources, electrified leaves. Of course, it's the sun hitting them and shining through, but they really shine through in this image. What they also do is just complement and bring out the greens on the brickwork of this building just around the first few courses of bricks and again on the roof. Compositionally, yeah, I'm a big fan. The only thing I think I lose a little bit is that sphere on top of the roof, but I think that the leaves here are the real hero. I'm pleased to walk away with this as my hero frame.